I think it's fair to say that Thursday night was an absolute disaster. I gave my thoughts and opinions on some of the current issues that I'm personally feeling surrounding the squad, the team, and the use of the attacking players right now. At the same time, I definitely respect the context of the squad right now. There are a ton of injuries coming at the wrong time. In midfield, we are suffering so much right now. We know we've had serious injuries in other positions as well. And on top of that, with this recent COVID infection, targeting even more key players as well, it's definitely a very difficult time and situation for Thomas Tuchel. Sunday's game becomes even more important now, unfortunately. However, I'm expecting a very difficult game because Wolves are the type of team that are more than happy to sit back, park the bus, be compact in central areas, and most importantly, not press us high. We're seeing teams are having a bit of fun finding space on the flanks against us, and with their wide players in particular, they have the players to cause us a lot of issues in those areas. Now, they recently just beat a 4 winless game streak. However, they lost by 1-0 to teams like Man City, like Liverpool, in very hard-fought wins in which Liverpool and City struggled at times a lot. However, their quality in the end shone through and came to save them. This is a Wolves team that know how to play against the big teams and the big boys. So with all our current injury issues affecting the team right now, what solutions can Tuchel find for us in this extremely difficult period if we do have any slight hopes of even attempting a title challenge for this season? Today's video, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to go through the predicted lineup first, which will allow me to then focus mainly on the press conference, and of course at the end of that I'm going to give you guys my match prediction. But before we get into anything, let me get one very nice plug out of the way first. To celebrate the launch of Next Generation on FIFA 22, EA have created their own personal newspaper to deep dive into the next gen stars of the future. EA kindly hooked me up with an exclusive physical copy of this newspaper, as you guys can see here. And as you can see, you guys, Christian Pulisic is adorning the front page of this newspaper. Can't lie, you guys, this was a pretty good read. As you guys can see here, 18 pages of amazing content as well too. So if you guys want to actually read it for yourselves, don't worry, you guys are in luck. All you have to do is head to the description, click on the link, and you of course can read a digital copy of this online on EA's website. It's insightful and it has fun questionnaires as well, so you purely stands can test your purely knowledge. As I'm saying, you guys, you'll find a link below in the description. Now we start with the predicted lineup, and as you guys can see, I've gone for Mendy in goal. In defence, I've gone for Chalobah, Christensen and Rudiger. Wing backs, Reece James and Marcus Alonso. In midfield, I've gone for Kante and Ross Barkley as well too. In attack, Ziyech, Mason Mount and Kai Havertz playing false 9. My reasoning for this team is that it still has to be fairly competitive. I think the fact that Chalobah ended the final 50 minutes of the game versus Everton probably suggests that he could be starting in this game today. I like when he pushes further up on the right hand side. He was showing nice little bits of, close control and skill in those areas. And we can't forget that he has played a ton as a midfield player as well throughout his career. So this is a player that's very comfortable pushing up and, showing quality on the ball. He has to play. I think Azpilicueta has been struggling a little bit, and I think Chalobah just has extra physicality and is very good technically as well too. Defense, Silva needs a rest. We can't afford to stress him at all. So Christensen and the ever-present Rudiger at the back. Wing backs, Alonso, because I understand why he had to get taken off versus Everton, because he's our only left wing back, so he has to be preserved. He'll be playing alongside him, Reece James as well too. And in midfield, this is where things get quite interesting. Tuchel's mentioned that he might have to be a little bit crazy. Ideally, I'd love if he gave an opportunity to a Charlie Webster, look to the academy to just help out the squad depth issues at this point in time. I'm worried about this, but I feel potentially we could see a midfield tomorrow of Barkley and Kante, and I'll give my thoughts on Kante later. And up front, Mount, Ziyech, and of course Kai Havertz. Now I'm just hoping that this time Tuchel actually plays Mount down the left hand side, where he can take shots on his right foot, and the same thing for Ziyech down the right hand side too. I think that to be able to get in behind and shift those blocks more, I really think the link-up play between Ziyech and James is quite good, and I think Ziyech down the right is able to, show more of his creativity through balls and take shots as well too on his stronger foot. Kai Havertz is fit for this game tomorrow. Pulisic really struggled playing as a false 9, in which we didn't really play to his strengths, as a lot of the balls he had to deal with were aerial ones, and it's like, what is even the plan behind that, in my opinion? Havertz, let's hope that he's hungry for the game tomorrow. He'll be very crucial for us. And that's it, you guys. That's my predicted lineup for the game. Of course, give your predicted lineups in the comment section below. So now we move on to the press conference, and the reason why I've kind of like shifted the structure of this video is because, you know, Tuchel gave his thoughts on the post-match game after Everton, and of course pre-match thoughts for the Wolves game as well too. So we start with the first question. Good news is that Havertz, of course, does not have COVID. He will be available tomorrow, and Tuchel did say that he's already back in training. So that is good for current squad depth issues at this point in time. But of course, there's always bad news that follows good news, and the bad news is that Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek are both incredibly doubtful because they've picked up small knocks and injuries. Now, it makes a lot of sense, it really does. You know, Jorginho, I can't imagine that he'll be fully fit and just firing and just, you know, physically just like perfect immediately. Massive credit for the fact that, you know, he's still putting in the shift for the team. Jorginho, man, he's got that winner's mentality. I think that's quite clear for all of us to see. Let's hope that he can eventually get some rest so he can heal properly and come back even better. And unfortunately, it's the same thing for Ruben. I guess it makes a ton of sense. Like earlier in the first half, in the first 15 minutes against Leeds United, he was on the floor with, you know, twisting his ankle after he like attempted an aerial duel and fell down. You know, the reality is it's very hard for our midfield players right now, because when you're playing like 2 games a week sometimes, you know, 2-3 games a week, you rarely have any recovery time. And it's just like when there's no other competition in midfield or you're forced to have to play, is it any surprise that players maybe of form and ability might be suffering too? I just think that's part and part. Like, we were Mason Mount when he had his issues with his teeth. He wasn't looking quite the same as he currently is right now. So I think as fans, we can definitely sympathize with their current situations. But to end with the bad news, at least Cover now is back in training. And I have to apologize, you guys. I was rightfully called out in the last preview. I mistranslated what Tuchel was saying, talking about Cover being out for 7 to 8 weeks. Apologies for that. I'm going to make sure that I'm more on point. But anyway, Tuchel then gave his thoughts and spoke about our poor run of form. And Tuchel saying that it's not time to let emotions and disappointment take over. At the same time, we can accept that we played a good game, but unfortunately got punished. It happens in moments. I get it. I guess a part of what he's saying is to still bring that confidence to the team. He doesn't want to let the public know that, you know, maybe there's some stuff happening in terms of players lacking confidence or fitness, etc, etc. I think it's the right things he's saying. I think our performances, of course, they have been good. We can't say they've been shambolic. We've seen terrible performances. These are just unfortunate ones at this point in time, and it's just like, if you had a full strength team, these would be wins, and I think we all would know that. So let's move on to the next question. Now, I was looking forward to this question because I've been saying this time and time again. This is Thomas Tuchel's first ever Christmas period. No other country in Europe has a Christmas period. We are the only ones in England that do, and it's a completely different ball game when you have this amount of intense games coming in such a short amount of time. This is definitely a learning opportunity for Tuchel. As he said, normally he has a break, and during the holidays he just sits back, relaxes and watches football on TV. You know, this Christmas period is a unique experience. It's very tiring and fatiguing, and it isn't always pleasant. We have to remember, you guys, they're all still human beings. This is a very draining, intense period. You know, you're constantly away from your family. You're constantly having to focus on the present and the future games, and I don't know, like, could this last forever? I'm not too sure. Is it any surprise that we see more injuries and issues during this month than any other month normally throughout the season? You know, I rest my case. For me, this month, sometimes the tactics don't even work like that. You need to have, like, you have to smell the blood. You just have to go for it sometimes. It's about just getting the win any way you can. And to move on to the next questions, Tuchel spoke about our midfield issues at this point in time, and he did mention that he may be forced to do the crazy stuff, as he did say himself. And I think he was possibly implying that Kante could be playing in the game tomorrow. For me, I'm a little bit nervous by this. I've seen Sarri, I've seen Frank Lampard constantly rush back N'Golo Kante way sooner than they had to. I get it, he's unique, one of the greatest midfield players on the planet. However, in the end, in the long term, we suffer. You know, I get why you might have to play due to current injuries right now. I'm pretty nervous as well too, you guys. You know, the last thing I'd ever want is for Kante to pick up another injury tomorrow, because if that happens, title hopes for sure are definitely gone, because you can only win this Premier League title if Kante is playing in your team. And then with the final question, Tuchel gave his respects to Wolves. As he said, you know, their form has bounced back and it's hard to create big chances versus them, which for sure it is, because they're very happy to sit back and soak up pressure and not press. And they're structured and they defend well. We have to be prepared. You guys, in my opinion, I'm telling you, I'm just nervous. We've struggled. Teams that park the bus are still our Achilles heel. We eventually, if we want to really be the favourites to win the title, we need to be a team that has tactics for the big games, and of course a system for the smaller teams in which these are the games that eventually pick up the points. So you guys, we now end things with my final match prediction, and for my prediction, I'm going for a 2-1 win for us. Now, I'll be absolutely real with you. There's no real football reasoning behind this. This is just pure hopefulness that we can get a win and just get a few points during this month. Honestly, I think tomorrow's going to be very difficult. Praying Wolves just have a mare, have some individual errors, give us a penalty, get a man sent off. This is the type of luck that we desperately do need. And on that note, you guys, that is the end of today's match preview. I hope you did enjoy. Give your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and don't forget to check out the EA newsletter discussing next gen stars and FIFA 22. I'm telling you, it's a very fun read. So on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.